here. You'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome to the April meeting of the Clinton County Council on a home away from home here at the airport. Good. We'll begin on our regular administrative tasks of approving meeting minutes for the March meeting.
Jan and I went over the minutes. Like I have some little minor thing, but they look good. So I would motion that we approve the minutes from the March 14th meeting.
Second. Motion by Clark and a second by Jeff to approve those meeting minutes. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 7. Community corrections report. Brett Barton. You don't really have a podium. I'm sorry about that.
Still right here. Good morning.
Morning.
This morning we have 94 on our program. We have 2 on CTP. We have 4 juveniles and 2 on pretrial release. Last week, the University of Cincinnati completed their audit on our program. That was grueling. But I think we're going to learn something from it. The report should be out in about 3 months on that. One comment I probably want to say on that is academia, theory, and real world practicality don't always see eye to eye. So I defended a lot of things that we do, and they might not agree with it, but I think it's best for Clinton County. So just leave it at that. Working on a grant right now that will be completed by the end of the week and take it to my board next Thursday. And we'll have that submitted by the end of the month. You do have an additional appropriation this meeting about some bonuses from my agency. A couple years ago, I thought if we could ever hit 500,000 on our project income, I would go to my board and ask for some bonuses from my employees. I kind of framed that around when I took this position. Our project income was 160,000. We've grown that to over 500,000. Also in that time, we've secured weapons, body armor, radios, vehicles, a K9 for our agency. So we've been very frugal with our money, and I just want to reward my staff with that. I also gave my board some comps from other agencies on where our salaries are and along those lines. So they did reward us with a bonus of about 2.5%. Be happy to answer any questions on that or any other topics.
The Cincinnati study, do the results of that just get shared with you, or do they somehow go to the state or?
Yeah, DOC is also involved. So
Okay.
DOC will know once the results are out. They've done about 20 counties to date, and I don't know if they're going to use that statewide or not, but they are going to reevaluate in 2 years.
I guess that's what I wanted to know. Does that somehow go into what DFC does, or is that just strictly for our information?
Yeah, DOC is definitely involved.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
does that just look at your program, or does it look at everything that's happening in Clinton County?
Just our program, and they do compare it to other agencies, and that's something I wanted to stress, that I don't think you compare small agencies to large agencies. I think I got my point across there very clear.
For me, I was kind of surprised to read the word bonus. To tell the truth, I've only been here 6 years, so I don't know what the history of a bonus is in the county. But
Well, let me preface that it's not county money. It's from our project income, so it doesn't affect the county budget whatsoever.
They're not on our salary ordinance.
Well, I think the work you do is very important, and we've had a little interaction on some personal notes, and you know, it takes a special person to do the job you and your team do.
Thank you.
Jeff, I just thought that occurs to me, the only other thing that I would add to what was said about they're not on our, it's not counting money and it's not on the salary ordinance, is that they have their own board that governs that and appropriated it, and we're just the ones as the elected officials to check the box. So I guess to me that makes it a little different than the budgets that we have direct responsibility for. I've always tried to defer to those boards that work, you know, just like solid waste or airport, they work with that every day, and you know, they have a higher level of knowledge than we do. So anyway, I wanted you to speak to that, just to give a little background. I appreciate that.
Well, we have a representative on the board as well.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we do have a voice. But good question. That is something that it's highly unusual. It's not just, you know,
I'd have to say that since Brett's taken over, it made some big changes in that. You know, I mean, we went leaps and bounds from where it used to be.
Yeah, I would like to say that I think our county's really lucky to have Brett as the lead of this whole thing, because everywhere I go, I hear just good things.
Thanks. Thank you.
any other questions before we move on? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a written copy of the report from Nancy Ward with another 0 month for March on juvenile detention costs. So that moves us to new business. We had a water heater at Parkview. Go visit the giant water heater place in the sky.
Yeah.
So Chris is here to update us on the situation there at Parkview.
Yeah, and of course, we knew it was gonna be higher than the last one purchased. Didn't last as long as I wanted it to. I think we put it in August of 16. And I asked Ryan at AAA's and Chris with the water here, and I had a brand new water softener system, but it was bound to happen. But anyway, it ended up, I think you guys got 11,356. The good thing is Ryan got out the next day, actually found one, which is amazing in this market. Got it installed, we weren't out of water for a day. So I've asked for 10,000. I could pull the rest of that out of my repair line, but of course I don't want to deplete it. We've only gone through the first quarter.
Now, this obviously happened late enough that it didn't make our additional appropriations for this month, but I'd like to have something on the record showing the council, and Chris immediately contacted me and I said, get that fixed, you know, we needed to, and the commissioners and to move on this because we didn't want the entire facility out of hot water for a month while we waited for an additional appropriation.
So I appreciate that. I know they did.
So I'd like to have a motion for the record for the minutes to show that we're in favor of, do you want to just do the 10,000? You're okay with making the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, with an appropriation of 10,000 that will catch up then in May to do the water softener. So motion by Joe and a second by Todd. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0.
And I thank you. I've got to jet out. I've got a county home meeting in Kokomo. So thank you guys so much.
All right, thanks, Chris.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, Olivia, soil and water. We've got a proposed salary increase over the salary ordinance.
Yes, hello, my name is Olivia Winger. I'm the district administrator at the Flint County Soil and Water. I'm kind of a new face around here. I just started last October. But Stephen and I were kind of looking over, we have a part-time employee in the office, and we noticed that she wasn't getting the percent raises as other county employees were. So currently, she's been there for 6 years this past March, and she's only making $12.55. So we had a discussion with our board last month at our meeting, and they didn't realize that she was not getting those increased pay raises. Through those 6 years, I did the research, and she was only getting about $1.55 raise in those 6 years. So the board thought that $16 per hour would be an adequate amount for her. And we didn't want to mess up the county budget at all since it was already laid out. And we got rid of a storage unit. So that freed up about $1,600 in our county budget. And also Stephen and I talked, and we're not going to use any of our employee overtime. So that was an additional $2,600. Okay. So altogether, we have $4,212 that we want to use towards her salary. So we're not asking the county for any more money.
That would cover.
Yes. Yeah, so we did the math. So she works 2 days a week. So bi-weekly is about 32 hours. That's if she works both 8-hour shifts both weeks. She's usually averaging about 26 to 28 hours every paycheck. So I did the math on it, and it should cover us for the rest of the year if it were to be approved this month. So.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. There's 2 issues there, as I see it. One is the issue of moving the money around, and if I understood her correctly, one of those we'd be able to transfer without council approval. The other would require, because one would have been an 01, and the other. So you'll have to work with the auditor's office to submit a transfer request, and they'll get it before us to approve. The other thing, I guess, is do we have a specific line item in the salary ordinance for that position that we're somehow missing, or how?
So part-time usually is on the salary ordinance unless they're paid over what is on that front page of the ordinance.
That's what is it just kind of covered in that general?
Yes, but this would be over that. So we always suggest that they come in front of the council if it's over the recommended amount on the front of the ordinance. So we can add that
You mean,
line,
yes, that's what.
and then we'll put the $16 an hour in there.
Okay, so we'll need to do a salary amendment, a salary ordinance amendment in
Yes.
May then as well?
Yes.
Okay. Should we have a vote today, or just wait on that amendment?
I would do both.
Okay,
You might as well.
okay, so you've heard the explanation, you've heard the plan for moving forward, so if you're all in favor and in agreement with that, which it sounds like we've kind of let one slip by here a little bit for a few years, I'd entertain a motion to support the move to increase the part-time weight at Soil and Water. A motion by Carol, will have a second. Got Mike with the second. Anybody have any questions? Everybody clear on what we're dealing with here? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. We'll get that taken
All right,
care of.
thank you
We'll do
so
the
much.
official salary ordinance amendment next month.
Okay.
And, but you're good to go.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next item is just sort of an FYI for the council. You had in your packet a TIF management report. This was presented to the commissioners at their last meeting, and it's required by state law that the redevelopment commission present this to both the council and the commissioners. And it's sort of a highlight reel of the most recent year in the TIF district that is administered by the redevelopment commission. And I'll just point out a couple of numbers. There are three numbers I'll have you look at. The total expenditures last year for the RDC, $92,981. Total income for the RDC for the TIF district, $374,000. That represents the first year that we received any tax revenue from the NHK facility. So that's the first meaningful money we received there. And then the fund balance at the end of 2022 is $485,000. That's important because we are going to tap into some of that money to cover the shortfall in the roundabout project that services the TIF district out there since the bids came in so high. So that is the report. I'm happy to answer any questions as one of your representatives on the redevelopment commission. If anybody has any, the other document that was included, it's not in here, but there was a parcel listing of every real estate parcel that's included in the TIF district. If you aren't sure, you can look one up by its parcel number, and you can.
It's in our packet.
Okay, you can tell whether that's in that list or not. You'd just like to know where the parcel boundaries are. Any questions about that report? Okay, we'll show that in the minutes that it's received and reviewed. Okay, the next item you have in your packet, amendment to the county travel and expense policy. We haven't adjusted the numbers for reimbursement. Well, Brett, I'll let you maybe make a quick explanation for the public like you did to us in your email.
It came to our attention that for lunch, dinner, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the amounts were 10 for breakfast, 10 for lunch, and then 20 for supper. And the state had, a lot of the counties were saying that they were moving to different amounts. So we did a little research and have come up with moving them to 15 for breakfast, 15 for lunch, and 30 for supper. Everything's going up. So we went ahead and tried to stay, in the same realm, yes.
So that's reflected then in, you have the document, the Clinton County Travel and Expense Policy, effective date April 3, 2023, that has those new limits included in there. So the policy already existed. We're voting to amend that policy to establish the new reimbursement rates. So if you're all okay with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the amended reimbursement rates for travel and expense. Motion to approve by Jeff. Second by Mike. Any questions, comments, discussion?
When was this last change?
No.
I don't know. It's been 10-20 for a long time.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay. No other questions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. All right, as we move right along, we'll get to the additional appropriations. Those are the meat and potatoes of our roll here. Let me make sure I don't accidentally skip it. Beginning with the general fund. From the sheriff's office, a reimbursement that we received for $66. It's going to go back into the uniforms line item. Area plan, this goes back to, and Liz, I saw just stuck in, and so I'll maybe give a quick review, but if you feel like you want to add anything, jump in. But we received that very detailed email from Liz earlier explaining that we were going to lose our building inspector, and that we were going to try to do what we did the last time we transitioned building inspectors, which is to have a period of time where the new person came on early, and we were temporarily paying for 2 building inspectors while the outgoing one could introduce and educate the new one for a period of time, sort of on-the-job training. The other thing, so there's a part-time position request for that second position for a short period of time. The new person, we're going to transition up to 40 hours a week, whereas the old one had been at 35. Is that correct, Liz? And that was by choice. They were given the opportunity to go to 40, but they had decided to stay at 35. We've got the workload to easily fill the 40, so we're going to go ahead and make that transition to the 40. So there's a second request in here to fulfill getting that position for the remainder of the year up to the 40-hour requirement. Did I capture all that right?
You did.
Okay.
Perfect.
So that totals between those two, that's $4,500 to move to the 40 hours for the remainder of the year, and then $10,000 for the part-time person during that temporary period when we have 2 building inspectors. For the sheriff's office, in the accident report fund, $4,754 for some repairs, some SWAT equipment, camera equipment. Community corrections, here's Brett's bonuses, $8,000 total. That covers the bonuses themselves and the FICA and perks that are associated with those bonuses. Cume Courthouse, $51,510 is a check we received from the state of Indiana. That was our compensation for the portion of the what would be the Ivy Tech facility that the county owns jointly with the city. The state had to take a portion of that land on 2 sites for the upgrade of the State Road 28 project, and so that's our compensation, $51,510. We also had in Cume Courthouse $304.50, and then I think there was a second one, $1,827 that were both reimbursements for nickel plate snow removal for 2 different events over the winter. So that was the total then for Cume Courthouse of $53,641.50. On EMS, we got 2 reimbursements, or refunds, I should say, for medical overpayments on medical supplies, $623, and then also $281.76. So we're putting that back into the medical supplies line item at $905.62 total. On the firearms training fund, $8,490 expended for tasers and parts. And then we moved to Board of Health, and Rodney's here, and again, I'll do the same thing as I did with Liz. I'll attempt to work through this. You correct me if I'm wrong, but we have talked over the last couple of meetings about making some changes to the Board of Health budget, moving some positions to full-time, and this is the actual appropriations to make those changes happen. $18,445 to move the immunization nurse to full-time. $58,207 to create the new administrator full-time position. $5,864 to pay for Social Security and Medicare associated with those positions, and $3,130 for PERF associated with those positions. And then lastly, $500 that we spent advertising those positions as we searched for qualified candidates. And I guess one last one here, $6,000 for office equipment to replace the waiting area furniture at Board of Health office. Get all that right, Rodney?
Yes.
Okay. From Highway Department, we had budgeted some money for equipment that was $41,000 for, we were going to use for a new drum roller, but the new drum roller is coming in at $47,087, so we need to appropriate that difference of $6,087 from local road and street to be able to complete that purchase. Surveyor's office, we had a kind of a straggler drainage maintenance receipt from Boone County, $445.82 from the McClamrock drainage. Sheriff's Sale Administration Fund, $3,000 that we need to appropriate out to pay sheriff's sale costs. Sheriff's Gift Fund, $100 to, I don't know what RAD fees are. Is that?
It's our self-defense classes. The library is paying fees to account for the cost of the books that they receive.
Okay.
The women's self-defense course.
Okay, so we're paying for some materials for some fees for a self-defense course. Landfill tipping fees, $1,848. This is some reimbursement fee for administration and workman's comp reimbursement that we're putting back into that line in the landfill fund. And then lastly, solid waste district, $28,686.82. And I'm Clark or Brett, this is, we might work through, this is how we do run the payroll for the solid waste district, correct? And that's what this is.
Wildcat has an interlocal agreement with Clinton County government to take care of all of our payroll, and then we just reimburse periodically.
So this is a reimbursement for payroll run through the county's payroll system.
And this is, I do it every quarter.
Okay.
Same goes for that previous one on the workman's comp. I believe that's to cover our two employees at
Oh, for the workman's comp premium? Yeah.
it's
Gotcha.
Roger.
Um,
That's what Shelley said.
Yes, that's what we're reimbursing landfill.
Yes, we're reimbursing.
So we've already paid that policy premium for workman's comp, and that's a reimbursement for the portion covering the two employees at solid waste. Okay, very good.
All covered by the interlocal agreement.
Okay. So that is your slate of additional appropriations for April. Any questions or discussion on any of those? Most of those we had talked about at previous meetings, so. If there is no discussion, I entertain a motion to approve that. That is ordinance number 2023-05. Okay, I have a motion by Joe to approve. A second. Second by Mike to approve the additional appropriation ordinance. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. I think we have one transfer, if I remember. Is that right, Janet?
I'm sorry?
Do we have one transfer for approval?
Yes.
So I'm in the wrong spot here. I'm not seeing which ones are for approval.
Board of Health.
It's just one Board of Health. It should be.
Okay,
with
there.
your additionals.
Yep, got it, okay. $6,790, so from the health department, $6,793 from what, I'm not sure what EHS one is.
So that would have been the environmental health position that I had, as well as in the administrator. Now that was the extra money that was being paid to that administrative role. So I'm moving it to the administrative role
Gotcha.
now.
Okay, so that'll go to help finish out the funding for the new
Yes.
administrator
Yes.
position. And then $2,000 from clerk to extra help.
And that helps us. We're actually using the extra help line item to pay for some additional translation. We've got an employee that is doing translating for us. Fortunately, that speaks Spanish, so
Okay.
we're finding that she's being used more and more in the immunization clinic. So.
Okay, okay, so that is, as I understand it, all of the transfers need approval, so entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Carroll to approve.
Second.
Second by Clark. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0 to approve transfers. You have in your packet the monthly update on the budget status report and the financial management report, which shows the fund balances. Open to any questions or discussions. If anybody saw anything in there they want to bring up. If not, I'd entertain a motion that they've been received that we can show for the minutes.
Make a motion, they have been reviewed.
Sure. We have a motion by Jeff and a second by Joe. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0 that we received those reports from the auditor. Council reports. Any updates from a council member that may have attended? You had a chance to go to PIP yet?
Yeah, I finally got the list of meetings finally, so I attended one, and very interesting. A lot of discussion took place, and a lot of the discussion was over what we got to do about medical facilities. Is probably the biggest thing that came up with all these, the smaller ones are leaving, the doctors are leaving, and no answers really came up, but there's a lot of questions on what to do.
It's on the radar.
Yeah, it's on the radar, so.
Okay.
I have a report from the Community Health Network Advisory Board. Clark and I attended their last meeting, and I think it's just something that we really need to stay on top of, pay attention to, because they've changed their services. They don't have a brick and mortar building anymore, so everything is virtual. And they do have a space at Healthy Communities, just one little office space as a landing place. But and they're telling us that their clients are happy. But, I worry about that. I think, the county's giving them quite a bit of money, and I think we need to pay attention to what kind of services we're getting and how happy our community is receiving those services. They're saying, we all know that we're short a lot of medical therapists and our mental health therapists in our state, like over 6,000. But they still have a brick and mortar location in Tipton County. But they don't have one here, which I found interesting. And so I just think it's something, Clark and I will watch it, but I think we need to pay attention to make sure that our county is getting what we're paying for.
Right. Was there any discussion as to why the one at Tipton was continuing? Was it just strictly a cost?
I remember, I think it's just a cost thing. They weren't making as much money here.
They own that building.
They own it, okay.
They
Okay.
just
They own
opened
the
it
building.
Okay.
3 years ago, maybe.
That'd be a big difference then.
And in 2024, in January of 2024, they're going to be able to bill more Medicare. So, and then maybe they're anticipating their income will go up. But I think it's just something we need to pay attention to.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I think there's some bills that have been going through the State House, and we need to, wait till the session's over to see how that impacts everything.
Okay. Thank you for those reports. Anything else? Commissioner report. I have Commissioner Weaver in the room. Anything?
Nothing really to report.
Okay. All right. All right. Very good. Department heads. Any department heads need time with council? Anybody? Rodney?
Just stop in real quick, 2 things. I've got a new employee here with me, Mitch Holm, who is replacing Jessica, our food inspector. So I wanted to get him familiar with the county government.
Welcome, Mitch.
Be with him
Thank you.
as well.
Thank
So,
you.
the second day already, so we're getting through all.
You just threw him right in. Didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He went out and did a food complaint inspection yesterday right off the bat too, so, but then we have an appointment up with, Cecily as well today, so we'll get him right into the mix. He's got more than 15 years experience with food safety and food defense, so.
Excellent.
Yes, it's just a matter of, making him acclimated to a few things local health departments do, and we think he'll be a fine addition to the staff. So.
Great.
The only other thing to report, sorry.
I just said, well,
Oh,
Thank
the
you.
only other thing to report, which I think I did it for the commissioners already, was indeed, as I had thought was the case last month, we did, and I had to make sure Alan was aware, receive an additional $406,000 and some change from COVID administrative fee reimbursements. So while we already had almost gotten about 400,000, and Dana and I knew there was some more coming, we wasn't quite expecting that much, but that's fine. We'll let the state do the math on that and take care of that for us.
So that's why Rodney treated himself to some new furniture.
Yeah. Well, that was furniture we had from the hospital actually
Really?
And our intent would be if we can make it available to the new Trinity Hope Center there, as we're expanding, partnering and
Thank you.
expanding services out to everybody there as well, so.
The Trinity Hope Center is made up of a lot of weird furniture.
It is, but it certainly though, it has enough rooms to make that a theme type thing.
That's right.
Have you heard any update? I know we're kind of getting down to the end of the legislative session, and I've seen some competing versions of what the healthcare funding for counties might look like. And
Sure.
From your,
I have only had talking points that have come out from IPHA, which is Indiana Public Health Association recently, that I've made some clarity. I can share those with the council as well. I haven't seen any revisions on any new figures on the funding. I know Jordan was pretty dialed into a certain figure at one time, and I haven't heard him.
well, that's why I asked, because the most recent estimate I saw was they were cutting that back.
And we anticipate they might do so, and probably, but yet the next year, it was quite a bit more. So either way, there's going to be a challenge to effectively use that and budget that. And I'm basically like preparing myself for whatever figure that will be,
Okay.
figuring that any amount is going to be beneficial to the county. So at this point, though, I haven't heard a revision on the figures. So.
And when we do hear about that, we're gonna have to make quick decisions for the next,
They,
to create a budget.
unless they change their mind, they expect that extraneous money to be included in this year's budget.
Exactly,
cycle.
so it's gonna have a quick turnaround.
Which I already kind of tried to explain to Alan, which includes, making some decisions on what, and already, that's another thing Laura and I at Healthy Communities are working on, because growing pains are growing pains just the same, and you get more people, you need more space. So there's another thing I'll have to be coming to the council as I perhaps absorb some additional offices and, look at perhaps hiring on one or two more individuals. But I'm like you, gonna wait and see what the funding is. But I'm prepared.
So most likely, this would start with the new state fiscal year, July. And so as I had said to Rodney, we may be having kind of a unique mid-year budget overhaul in your situation.
Yeah, my hope is that they're gonna give us information by May so I can help include it. I think that, so it's Senate Bill 4 or House Bill 1001 are what I'm monitoring. I am still trying to get a meeting with the state health commissioner to come in. We're looking we tried May dates, but there's too many conflictions. We may still look at either something late in April here this month or June to come in and talk to the health board. Obviously, we'll offer opportunity if any of the council or commissioners want to attend that meeting as well, but also the Board for Healthy Communities, we're going to have them there as well to talk about the opportunities and the intent of what that money could do for the community and how the state wants to see the core services expanded. So,
Very good. Yeah, let us know when that happens.
yeah, okay, very good.
Shining star.
Well, we're trying to at least. I mean, there's a lot to do still. It's amazing you've done so much, and there's still a lot to do.
Yeah, there is. Thank you, Rodney. You have some other department heads. Anybody else need anything? Time with the council. I wish they were all like this. All right. Well, seeing and hearing no other business to come before the council, call the meeting adjourned. 33 minutes. Woo!
That was 15 minutes longer than the city council.